Hello and welcome to ATP Report. I'm Barry Nussbaum. Special guest back today by popular demand. The world famous Will Johnson is going to join us in just a sec, but you have homework to do before we bring Will on, and that is to take out your cell phone right now if you haven't signed up for our text message alerts. It gives you all of our content on your cell phone. It's absolutely free. It's very easy to sign up. Text the word truth in the message box and send it to the number 88202. When you push send, it'll sign you up in about 4 or 5 seconds. You'll get all of the content on your cell phone. It's absolutely for free. As I hinted a second ago, Will Johnson's here with us today. Will is the founder of Unite America First. It is an amazing website that gives you insight from a conservative viewpoint that honestly, you want to subscribe. You need his content. Welcome back, friend of the family, Will Johnson.
Hey, glad to be here, Barry.
So let's kick it off with some stuff that I picked up from Unite America First, your website. There seems to be, it's disgusting to talk about, but it's important news, a avalanche of these vicious, unprovoked, violent crimes against old people. You had a story about a 21-year-old skateboarder. He's on the sidewalk in Newark, New Jersey. He comes up behind a 79-year-old guy, an old man out for a stroll, and smashed him in the back of the head, knocked him down, hung around for a while, just sort of hanging out. And then what happens is, his elderly wife comforts the gentleman, an ambulance comes, and the thug just walks away. What is going on that this kind of behavior is literally out of control and it's everywhere?
You know what, Barry? The same thing happened in New York, and it was all caught on camera where an elderly person walked into, I believe it was an apartment complex, and someone just walked up behind him, knocked him over the head, and fell down, and then they robbed him. And this is not something that is new. This is something that's been reoccurring, and we're seeing it more and more. And what's really amazing is that you don't hear nothing from it when it comes to the left, to the mainstream media. You hear no reports on it. They don't say anything on it. They're not even saying it's an epidemic that's taking place. They just want to talk about Russia, or they want to talk about, of course, Ukraine, or they want to talk about January the 6th. Everything else doesn't matter, especially when it's straight up violence like this. And I think we're seeing more of it, and more of it's to come.
It's really disheartening. These are the same cities that are firing cops like crazy, and they want social workers out there, or they want more money spent on welfare or drug programs, or, as you mentioned in our last show, packing up and distributing crack pipes to crack users. Those are the priorities. But these people that are getting banged up and afraid to go outside, they're voters.
Right. There absolutely are voters. But again, they're not saying anything when it comes to the media, to the news. And this should be very terrifying to a lot of people, because as elderly people want to go to the store, you want to be able to go to the movie theater, you want to be able to go down to the park. And now you have to be concerned about someone coming up behind you and knocking you over the side of the head just for being to yourself, keeping to yourself. This is the world that we live in. And of course, the police officers being attacked, again, the mainstream media says nothing about it, as if this is okay. That this is the new norm, Barry. This is the new norm that they're talking about, masking us up and having total violence against police officers and just the civilian population.
Speaking of the new norm, I'm so sick of being lied to, and you point this out on your website as well, about mass numbers. I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of these people that are being brought into America. No discussion in Congress about it. It's being done by executive order of the President of the United States. And I'm specifically discussing now the Afghan situation. Thousands of them are coming in. And Joe Biden had promised, before we pulled out of Afghanistan in the debacle that he created, that there would be extensive vetting. And you had a funny line on your website where you said, I guess the vetting was, hey, Mr. Refugee number one, are you a criminal or a terrorist? No. Okay, come on in. Next, are you a criminal or a terrorist? No. Well, you're vetted too. Come on in. I got a kick out of that. And I know it was said in jest, but I doubt we're even vetting him that much. Doesn't it just bug the hell out of you that all you have to do to get into this country is claim you're a refugee, especially from a country that we abandoned, and you get it for free? But if you're a real immigrant and you want to follow the rules, you might wait about 10 years.
And pay what, thousands and thousands of dollars to make it happen to come into America. But just be a criminal and you can come into America. You know what, Barry, I have the solution to our southern border. Just put it out there that Russia is invading our southern border. Then next thing, it's really amazing. This, I mean, it doesn't even have to be true. You know, just go along with all the stuff that the fake news is putting out there and just say, hey, Russia, Putin is now moving to the southern border, United States of America, and Biden, Kamala Harris will show up at that point. She'll show up to the southern border at that point.
But you know what? A really funny but insightful point.
Exactly.
You know, we're so concerned about the Eastern Ukrainian-Russian border, which, by the way, we should. But that's a big deal. It's on the other side of planet Earth, and they're not Americans. But we care about it. And like I said, we should.
Right.
Why don't we care about our own borders?
You know what? That's the question. Why don't we care? And I think they don't care because they want to have open borders. They want a one world system, personally. But to go back to your original question, the reason why I think they're not vetting all of the people that they brought into the country, and I heard from a reliable source that there was about 60,000 that they released into the population here in the United States of America, and they only actually vetted about roughly 13,000 of them. And out of that 13,000, I think they found that 6 of them were actual terrorists on the terrorist watch list, so that they actually send those back. What happened to them? And if they found 6 out of 13,000, what about the 60,000? And now they're out in the population. They don't even know where they are, Barry. So are they planning anything on the wake of Russia, what they're doing in Ukraine, with the, what's happening in Syria, with Russia on the northern part of Israel? Seriously, this is something that everyone should be concerned about. And of course, the mainstream media, they ignore that. We have Russia and January 6th to talk about.
Well, we're going to have something big to talk about in the next couple of weeks, as you've noticed. The Freedom Convoy in Ottawa, the capital of Canada, has gotten Canadian policy changed regarding mandates and vax proof and travel and so on. Obviously, the science in Canada has changed because of 18 wheels, not necessarily any laboratory studies. But the reason why I'm bringing the subject up is it's coming to a city near you. The just announced convoy, the big one, is going to go from California to Washington, D.C. And the Democrat management of our capital is in panic. They're talking about literally towing thousands of trucks and blockading the Capitol to keep the protests out. How do you feel about the United States government saying you can't protest what you don't like if what you don't like is our policy?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, Barry, I've constantly said that the U.S. Constitution is something that we all should adhere to. And I've had many people tell me saying, Will, we have the Constitution. We have the Constitution. That's true. But when you have the people that hold these powerful positions and they don't adhere to the Constitution, what does that say? They can care less about the U.S. Constitution. In the U.S. Constitution, we're supposed to be able to assemble peacefully, right? That's the whole thing of protesting, voice your grievances, but they don't want us to be able to do that. And I do have a problem with this convoy. Now, I do like the idea of the trucks traveling from California to DC to make some noise. I do like that idea. The only problem is, Barry, what happens after March 5th? Because they're supposed to get there on March 5th. That's the date. So what happens on March 6th? What happened on March 7th? What happens the days after that when we still have these tyrants that's still trying to implement the tyranny against the American people? How do we proceed? How do we move forward? Personally, just on a personal note, I think every single trucker should just go home and park the trucks. Don't deliver anything, just park the trucks for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Allow these progressives to feel the pain of all of the stuff that they've been pushing onto us. And then maybe then they'll say, okay, maybe we need to stop trying to implement this to everybody that we've been trying to do, because the science doesn't line up with their ideas, their feelings. It doesn't line up. Personally, that's what I think the truckers should do.
You know, there's a meme going around. I can't vouch for its authenticity, but it's made me smile every time I look at it. It's a picture of AOC saying something to the effect of, I don't need the truckers to bring groceries to me. I go get my food at the store.
You know, it's funny. It is absolutely funny. But you know what? They if you put that on social media, they'll come back with the third-party fact checker and say, this is not factual. They don't get it. A meme can just be a joke, but you can't even tell a joke any longer.
Oh, tell me about it. As you and I both know, that we get thrown off various social media platforms all the time for just either being funny or telling the truth.
Yes.
Let's talk about the truth for a second. The Squad, which is AOC, New York, Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. Now they've been joined by Jamal Bowman of New York and Cori Bush of Missouri. So these are progressives. Progressive in the new terminology basically is a euphemism for communist. They're all members of Congress. They consider themselves people of color, and they consider the United States a white supremacist, racist nation dominated by the patriarchy. It suppresses Americans of color. My question for you is, doesn't it seem like more and more people of color are turning away from these radicals?
100%. 100%. There's video after video after video where people of color that are starting to realize that the Democrat Party did not keep their promises. The Democrat Party is the first one to come out and say that we're here for you, people of color. We're here for the minorities, for the little guy. But people are starting to realize that that's not true. They've done everything opposite. If anything, they kept their promise about putting the crack pipes out into the community, because, you know, that's where, hey, so you can't really say anything that we didn't give you anything, right? You can't. So black people, people of color can't say that the government, you can't say that we didn't give you anything because we tried. But then the Republicans, these evil Republicans, the racist white Republicans prevented us from putting the crack pipes into your neighborhoods. So you can't say it. Who's the real racist one here? I mean, that's how they spin it.
You're right. I surrender. Your logic is overwhelming. Well said. Well, tell people how they can find and follow you.
Just go to uniteamericafirst.com and you can find me everywhere there.
Perfect. I admonish all of you out there in ATP land around the world watching today, please follow Will, follow him on Facebook, and go to Unite America First. You're going to get a perspective you really need to see. This guy knows what's going on. And remember, for all of you out there, if you didn't do it in the beginning, do it now. Sign up for our messages. Get them for free on your cell phone. Simply text the word truth and send it to the number 88202. We'll sign you up on the spot. For ATP Report, thanks for coming on today. I'm Barry Nussbaum.